Hi, my name is Murray Laidlaw. My friends call me Murph. and, and this is episode number 2. And we're grateful to have Angela McLaren, CEO and Executive Director of the Humane Society.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah. It's nice to be able to get out and have some discussions and get to meet new people. So thank you very much.
So I heard you're from South Africa, so I'd love to hear about your childhood.
I can take you back in time if that's where you want to go. So I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Grew up in a relatively, my mom's parents were Afrikaans and my dad's parents were English. And so I grew up predominantly speaking English, but I can speak Afrikaans, which is the second language.
You can?
I can, yeah. Not as great as everyone else, but it's kind of been really great to be able to do that. My current partner, I'm trying to teach her some of the Afrikaans words.
How's she doing?
Yeah, I was like, she's doing great.
Yeah,
she actually got an app and she downloaded it, but I was like, yeah, it's the best thing because you can sit in a cab and you can talk Afrikaans and nobody knows what you're saying.
Yeah.
So and it's like kind of really only spoken in South Africa, so it's quite unique. So quite a bit different life to what I live today. And I most of my childhood I was super athletic.
What sports did you play?
So I was long distance, sprints, high jump, anything that was athletic. I loved it. I absolutely love it. I was right up to grade 12. Was the fastest in the school.
Nice.
Always took pride in that.
And race?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was something I really loved. Played a bit of volleyball, but predominantly was a dancer. So I used to do hip hop, tap, modern ballet. Yeah, and so my brother, interestingly enough, is a ballet dancer too. So it was just something that kind of ran in the family, and we both got into it and were really good at it. And so, yeah, when I graduated high school, I studied law for 3 years. Third year of my law degree, I decided it was something I didn't want to do. Back in the day in the school system, we didn't really have career counseling, right? So you were like a lawyer, a doctor. You were given all those, you're a nurse. You had no idea what you really wanted to do with your life. And so
this is South Africa where you were going to school?
Yeah. And I was kind of like, well, lawyer sounds great. So 3 years in, I was like, it's not something I want to do. And went to my parents and I'm like, really sorry. I know you guys have invested a lot of money into my studies, but I just don't want to do law anymore. My mom and dad were like, well, what do you want to do?
So they're supportive.
Yeah, we're absolutely supportive. Yeah. And so I was like, I want to be a ballroom and Latin American competitive dancer. And my parents were, if that's what you want, go and do it.
Yes.
Yeah. And
so you did?
I did. Yeah. I ended up leaving law school. Ballet, any type of dancing, there isn't really much money in a career like that. And so I just kind of taught part-time to make some extra money. But I was like, well, what am I going to do in the meantime? I only dance at nights and I do competitions on weekends and I randomly teach. And so I decided to open up an ad agency. And that was the first time that I actually got into marketing and advertising. And it was the first time I guess I discovered that I had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit.
How old were you at this point?
26 by the time I had my ad agency. Yeah. And so, I was super driven. I think I kind of discovered when I had a passion for sales. And I was in sales and marketing most of my life. So I was selling Swatch watches. At one of our big retail stores, and you got paid your wage, but you also got paid commission. And of course, I'm like, well, I get commission now, so this means the world to my oyster. And I bought my first vehicle off the commission that I earned working in that store. And so it was then when I was like, kind of enjoy sales, right? And so this was just something I did, kind of part-time, and then started the ad agency, and then my parents separated and I went to the town that my mom was living in at that time to support her, and my business partner at the time bought me out in order for me to go and spend time with my mom. And then I opened up a ballroom at a Latin American dance club. And I was like, we go again, new adventure. And it was probably one of the hardest adventures I ever took on because it wasn't successful. And as an entrepreneur, it was my first time discovering that it's okay to fail.
It's
You're
heartbreaking.
going to fail.
I've done that as well. It's
But
heartbreaking.
absolutely, what a heartbreaking experience for me to go through, to know that I had this dream and I had a vision, and there were a lot of hurdles originally going into it, and I kind of worked a little faster than I should have, looking back on it. Because I was so passionate, I was like, how do I push forward? How do I get this dream? How do I get people to buy in? And
Same.
yeah.
So is that a lesson you learned along the way? Was that the main lesson you learned?
It was probably, it was, accepting failure.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was okay to fail. It didn't mean you shouldn't try again. So it kind of did take a bit of a knock to, I want to say, to my, to my confidence.
Yeah, as it does.
Yeah.
I think being an athlete, as you know, helps you through that process.
Yeah. With so much discipline,
Yeah.
right? And
Knowing
especially,
you'll be able to get better.
yeah, you have to. In order, always want to be the best. So you got to strive to be that all the time. But accepting failure, I think, was super hard for me. In that time of my life. And and anyway, I was like, so I was broke, sold my car.
I was there too. Were you around 32 years old at this time?
Probably around 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 years later, I had a
Yeah.
business.
You had to go. Oh no, and that's so hard.
Oh.
It's so hard to just go give up everything that you love. It's also a humbling experience,
Really
right?
is.
To go, you have to rebuild your life.
Yeah.
And you'll understand it's like really, really difficult to do, So I taught dancing until I had saved enough money to go back to Johannesburg. And I actually went through 18 job interviews and never got the job. And the 19th interview, I went to this company and, met with this guy, and I told him my story, and he looked at me and he said, I can tell you're really hungry. He's like, I'll give you this job. I won't give you what you want for it, but I will start you off at minimum wage. 6 months later, we'll come back to the drawing board and we'll see your progress. And I'd broken all the targets that he had given me.
Of course.
Came back, yeah. Well, you know what? It was kind of like I had a new leash on life. There was a new opportunity that somebody looked at me and they saw my worth. They were like, we see something in her that we believe that she can do this job really well. And so I ended up working with that company, and then 3 years later they transferred me to Cape Town. And if you've been there, it's an absolutely place, one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I was promoted to regional sales manager at that time.
Nice.
And then my partner at the time got an opportunity to move to Canada. And so we originally started off in the small little town of Fort St. James.
Okay, this is where I heard your story. You went from South Africa to Fort St. James.
Yeah.
And then I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but you heard that there was a problem with stray dogs.
Yeah. So, first of all, going into a small town like that, from being really career oriented to now, I don't really know what I'm going to do with my life, was really a difficult time for me.
From Cape Town to Fort St. James.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't, and it looked great. You do your research, and you're like, oh, this looks like a great place to go. And
nature.
Yeah, absolutely. The pictures were amazing. And I remember I got there, and it was 12 o'clock at night, and the sun was still out, and I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, pretty blown away at how small it was. And
I love the people there.
Just lovely, lovely humans, right?
Yeah.
And so the next day, someone said to me, okay, well, let's go to the beach today. And I'm thinking to myself, there is an ocean. I can do this now. There's an ocean. I was so pumped. And then went to Stewart Lake. I was like, you guys call this a beach? But, and I made the best of it. And I was actually just, I'd heard some of the challenges in remote and Indigenous communities around packs of dogs. And I'd seen it myself in Fort St. James. And I'd been working just front desk in a medical clinic. And one day this woman came in with a box, and she had this cat that was in distress, and she was like, I need help. And everyone's like, well, this is a clinic for people. This is not a clinic for animals. And I said to her, let me step outside with you. And I looked at the cat and I was like, this cat's not going to make it. And she was like, I don't have the money. I said, I'll pay, whatever.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, I don't have a car. And I remember looking at that and going, there's somebody who really wants to help their animal and needs help but there's just so many barriers for resources in order to be able to help them. And I never knew what happened to that cat. Still to that day, I wonder what was the outcome. I didn't have control of what that looked like, but I knew I wanted to make a difference.
Oh.
And so I managed to get a meeting in with Chief and Counsel up at Nakasley. And I remember standing there and thinking to myself, this is what my entire life prepared me for, was just for that moment. Because I was like, sales is something interesting, but it was just so eye-opening for me that I was like, we do so much in life that take us to where we need to be, but my entire life, it just prepared me for this moment.
Well said.
Yeah. And, sometimes, it really made me look at things a little bit differently. But they gave me $8,000 to start the Fort St. James Humane Society, and it's still in existence. They have changed its name since then. And so that was 2008.
Okay, when did you move to Fort St. James?
That year.
So you made a change.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I
Nice.
just can't stay at home and not do anything, right?
Okay, how long did you live in Fort St. James for?
3.5 years until I joined the SPCA.
Okay, so you made a difference right away and you grew it.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that, Fort St. James was a stepping stone. From a career perspective, I didn't see that there was opportunity for me to really develop a career there. And I'd always loved animals. I had developed this huge passion for animal welfare, and I got an opportunity to work for the SPCA, and then ended up moving to Prince George.
Yeah.
So I started the Prince George Humane Society about 4 years after being with the SPCA. I felt that there was a really big disconnect between animal rescues and supporting remote and Indigenous communities. And I felt that there was a gap in how we could support. There were a lot of rescue groups, but there weren't a lot of support for remote and Indigenous communities. And so primarily that's what our focus was in the beginning. We were a very foster-based organization. Got to a point where, you tend to burn out your fosters when you use them too much. And so we opened our first shelter location a year later. It's across from where we are now. And 8 months later from that, we outgrew that space. And we decided...
So many animals coming in?
Yeah, you know what? I think once we had a physical location, the community need became a lot greater than we had anticipated. And so we were like, hey, based on the capacity we had to help, there just wasn't enough. And so it just made sense.
Okay, so you need more people to donors?
Absolutely. We're 100% donor funded. We always ask when we need help, but we don't constantly ask because we do our own fundraising efforts. We don't make much of adoption fees. We do have some programs that we get some grant funding for, but they're very specific to the programs themselves and can't be used for operations. And so, we've been working, currently on, we have a lot of one-time donors, and, we see an increase when we have an injured animal or we have a rescue that we may need some extra support, but we don't have many monthly donors.
Okay, well, I wish we could say we can donate. But Jeff and I have talked, and I hope this is okay to say, Jeff. We'd love to volunteer our time.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
So we love our passion together is making commercials.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. People always think that donating's monetary. Yeah. And it's not. There's so many other ways. We recognize that people can't always financially assist us, but there's other ways they can get involved within the organization that can make a bigger impact. And so, we've seen kind of, with the economy, we've been struggling substantially from just from a donation perspective. We've seen a huge decline in donations.
Maybe more grants from the government, would you say?
Yeah, there isn't really. That's the thing. There's very few. The grants that I currently have, we have a program called Keeping Pets and People Together, and it's all about how can we just prevent animals from coming into the shelter. It's a part of what we do, but we're so much more than just a rescue group.
I see that. You definitely have the passion.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm assuming because you were an athlete growing up and you learned those and through different sports and learning lessons and failing along the way and having that passion to keep on going, is how you're here
Yeah,
today.
I think it teaches you resilience, right?
It does, eh?
You just can't, you have to be first. Being first for me is different now. Being
Yeah.
first is me making a difference. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's definitely a part of the drive.
Resilience. Okay, I can relate. But it gave you the resilience and the drive.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
And now you're here in Prince George. You've grown all this, what we've just talked about. And now something about British Columbia SPCA. What's the story there?
Yeah, so the animal, the BC SPCA currently have the animal shelter operations for the city of Prince George. That recently went up for bid. We just felt as an organization, based on our programs and services, we were able to better support the community. We're very about prevention. We're really about keeping, pets with their people, providing low-income services. We're locally based. We're everybody's here. We can act very quickly when the city needs our help, and we just felt that we could definitely bring something different to the table. And so we put in a bid, and we won the bid. And so 1st of January, we will be taking over the animal shelter operations for the city of Prince George.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. Every animal that has come there has had a loss of some sort, right? And they all have their own struggles, and we are the people that walk them through that, and we take them eventually to the place where they find their forever home. And so yeah, I think it's nice for people to come there and see those journeys for those animals too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see that too, because I've actually thought myself, I love animals and I would love to adopt an animal, but I'm gone so much.
Yeah,
And I live off grid, so I can't just leave an animal there.
sure.
I can't expect
Yeah.
somebody to. So that's my
Yeah.
barrier to entry.
Yeah. Well, volunteering, coming there, walking dogs, spending time with cats. We still will have both facilities. So, when we had gone to a bid for this contract, we didn't want to displace animals. It was super important that we were still able to help the same amount of animals and over and above. And so that facility that we have right now would be primarily housing cats, but all our programs and services, birthday parties, camps, we have a lot of community service programs, and those will still continue to operate. And then the animal shelter operations would be cats and dogs. And then obviously dealing with a lot of strays.
Wow. That's a lot you got going on in your life.
Yeah. I got a great team, I have to
Nice.
say. I'm just very lucky that I have a very strong team that are passionate about what they do and a lot of experience in the field. And
That's amazing.
they all go-getters. And
That's great.
yeah.
Well, they're lucky to have you.
Nah?
So obviously you've already done a ton for the community, and the word I have in my mind is BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
Obviously you've reached a lot of those in your life. Do you still have another big, hairy, audacious goal for all of this?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a 5-year strategic plan to open a new shelter facility.
Nice.
The aim with that would be to bring everything together. So have one shelter facility that's full service. So we have cats and dogs.
So not the other two?
No, yeah, to just bring everything together into one building that we own. And to add the veterinary clinic onto that, eventually offering full services
Nice.
to low-income families. And we've been working on a thrift store, just haven't found the right space. But looking to, is to add a thrift store. Yeah, we want to do something similar to RAPS in Richmond. They have they have a low-income veterinary clinic.
So RAPS in Richmond?
RAPS, yeah, Regional Animal Protection Society.
Okay.
And they have 3 thrift stores there. And thrift stores raise money for people that need help with surgeries. Wow. And so they got their own show. It's called Pets and Pickers. People should go watch it.
Pets and Pickers.
Pets and Pickers, yeah.
I like it. Okay.
And
that's
people will.
That's BHAG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met the CEO. Great guy. So he's doing some great work there, and I love the way, their approach to helping. And yeah, so people come there and they're like, I can't afford the bill. Calls the thrift store. We need help. Can you raise money? And so, we weren't thinking of doing something really similar that we can actually really, we're able to give lower rates for low income, but it would be great if we could subsidize or at least cover the full costs. So
Well, Prince George is very supportive of this community. They're very supportive.
They're very, very supportive.
So
Yeah,
they would definitely support that.
absolutely. Yeah, so just finding the right location. But the dream is to bring it all together, and just have a facility where everything's in the same location.
Love it.
Yeah,
Take
that's
it.
5 years.
Yeah.
Good enough time.
That's a good one. Well, I know you'll get there.
Yeah.
So, cool. And can we dive into a bit of? I like belief systems because
Sure.
I grew up with no beliefs. I was baptized, but I didn't
Okay.
believe in anything whatsoever. And but then in my life, based on coincidences and things that happened to me in my life, my mind's been blown, and now I have a whole different perspective.
Yeah,
So can you, instead of me just diving in and ask questions, can you?
sure. Tell you about my belief
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Um,
If that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
I was super religious my whole life.
Okay.
I was head of the Christian Association of my school, the entire high school. I wanted to be a missionary. And then I got to a point in my life where I got to discover more about myself. I figured out that I was gay. Thought it was the best thing for me because I finally felt alive for the first time in my life. I understood who I was.
Nice.
Everything felt it was a freeing moment for me.
Yeah.
There was no shame. There was
it
no
hard to get past that point?
no. It was everything made sense for me. It was a freeing moment. There was no shame for me. I didn't feel this need to hide it from everyone. In fact, it was an opportunity for me to understand myself, but also just feel free to be who
That's
I
great.
was.
How old were you when you became free?
Figured it out.
Yeah.
19.
19, okay. Nice. My sister was around the same age, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, 19, 20. And being super religious, it was not accepted. I was rather told that we need to pray for you, then we accept you. And to be honest, I never stepped back in a church ever again.
Okay. Yeah.
It made me,
That's a hard one.
the religion that I'd followed made me believe that people were always accepted and loved. And so now I'm super spiritual.
Yeah, I'm spiritual as well. I love it. And so meditation for me.
It's great, hey?
Yeah.
You should try ice baths. You know what?
Ice baths?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my accent's just going to come.
No, I love it.
easy,
I
right?
love it. Yeah, I love the accent.
That was one of the things I would do. I'd get up, I'd have a nice bath, and I'd get out and I'd meditate
Nice. In the mornings.
in the mornings.
Okay, that's
yeah.
another one I want to talk about, morning routine. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
so
you had a cold bath, an ice bath.
yeah, I haven't in a while, to be really honest.
It is nice to do.
But it was exhilarating.
Yeah.
It's just people are like, "Are you crazy?" I would just get in for 10 minutes and it would change my entire day. I kind of felt like it helped a little bit with my mood. I just feel a lot more positive and just rejuvenated. And yeah, so it's a practice I'd like to kind of get
Nice.
back into. But I think it's just also those things kind of fall by the wayside when you get crazy busy. And so that's something where I usually get up really early in the morning and have my tea.
Yeah. Steamed tea?
Yeah, and then get ready. I go to the work as early as 7 so that I get stuff done, because the minute the doors open, then people start coming to the shelter. I just can't focus on what I need to get done. And so yeah, I go do all my priority things early in the morning, and we probably get over 100 people that come through there a day. We never knew that many people would like cuddling with kittens and cats, and so it's just revolving, and it's great for socialization. But people just come in there all day and they cuddle with cats, and the kids come and read to the cats, which is really great, particularly kids that may be struggling. And the cats don't judge, and so it works out really well. And birthday parties we fill up every weekend. It has a component of humane education in it, but it's super, super fun. Nice. So yeah, we just help come over, see what we do,
I will.
And we have meditation music that plays for the cats.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll come and meditate with the cats.
You could do that.
That'd be cool.
We used to do those on Mondays. Meditation Monday, it was called.
What was it called?
Meditation Monday.
Yeah.
We're hoping to bring that back. It wasn't as popular as we'd hoped, but we also used to do yoga mats and kitty cats.
Yoga,
yeah.
yoga with kitties.
Yep.
Yeah.
They weren't that cooperative, but we tried. They're just
I
far
like-
too curious.
yeah.
I'd always loved animals. My mom had always said to me, "You're just so good with animals." And so, yeah, I just didn't expect that that's where life would take me, and it did. And I think I kind of get to do a little bit. I do sales, but I do it for the benefit of the animals and not for
animals.
myself. And
That's
so
amazing.
it's just transferring those skills in a different way to make a difference.
Well, thank you for coming to Prince George to make a difference here.
Oh, you're welcome.
amazing.
Didn't expect to be here.
Yeah, it's great.
Here I am.
We're lucky to have you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I got married in May.
Thanks. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So the weather was good, and
So 4 kids, beautiful wife, 2 cats.
2 cats, Lily and Rosie. They both rescues.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I could not like Lily, which is my eldest one. I bottle fed her from 2 weeks old. She came in. She was the runt. We couldn't find an experienced foster that I could trust, and I was like, "No, I'm taking her home. I'll make sure she gets through this." And yeah, she is. And Rosie, we do home for the holidays every year, so we empty out the shelter. So we put all the animals in foster. Strategically, they don't come back because people end up bonding over December. And I was home for the holidays, and she was a kitten, and she was the only one left. And I was like, "Okay, well, you're coming home." I fostered over 600.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
You
it's
fostered over 600?
fostered over 600. Yeah.
Over how many years?
The time I was in Fort St. James.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember when you moved to Fort St. James.
2008.
Okay.
And I think I foster when I need to now. I don't really have the capacity to, but yeah, I remember one day when I was in Fort St. James where there were 27 kittens in the house and had to have them all separated. And I remember the one day coming home and looking on the bed and there were just kittens everywhere. And I was like, I'm sleeping on the couch. I'm not even getting involved in this.
And you're allergic to cat hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Dedication.
Yeah, that is.
It's
You
dedication.
really do love them.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so I have 2 rescues and
That's great. Okay.
yeah.
And for people to help out, they can help out as being a foster, a donor, come and walk the animals, come hang out with the animals, meditate with them, sing with
Absolutely.
them, read to them.
Adopt. We do a lot of events that we always need people to help us with fundraising events. So, people want to come out and raise money or, help facilitate an event or get involved on the day of the event. We're very volunteer focused. So we've got a lot of volunteers and we're always looking to grow and expand that. The more volunteers we have, the more we could do, the more volunteers we have with skills that not necessarily my team have. The more we can achieve. So yeah, every little bit counts, and even if it said like if you can give $5, become a monthly donor.
Yeah.
If you can make that minimal difference, that makes a huge difference for us as an organization. Encourage people to just get involved in whatever capacity, bringing a can of food, we tell people change food for their cats all the time and their cat doesn't like their food. Bring it.
Yeah.
We'd love it. Shelter animals aren't fussy. So,
Perfect. That's great.
but that's all different ways that you can help and spread the word.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll do today. We'll spread the word, connect our social medias after this, maybe shoot it out in our community.
That would be amazing.
More.
Yeah, it would be absolutely amazing.
That's
People
great.
still, surprisingly enough, they confuse all the rescue groups.
Yeah.
And very often they think we're the SPCA. And it's also challenging around that messaging because we do very different work. And I think also, we do get these questions around, well, we're a charity, we're transparent about how we spend our money, you can see on CRA. And a lot of people are, you guys have a lot of administration costs, for example, based on maybe another rescue that doesn't. And rescue is a big part of what we do, but prevention is such a bigger part of that. And so, we can make a difference to 1,000 animals, but if I have programs that is going to prevent thousands and thousands and thousands from coming into other shelters, doesn't mean I have less value than a rescue. That just takes animals, right? And trying to explain that to people where you also have, in order for us to do that work, we have to have skilled people that have the expertise to be able to do those kind of programs. And so, you know, I think sometimes people have to see the hands-on work to go and see the value. Rescuing is great, and telling those stories and seeing those happy endings is a beautiful part of what we do, but there's just so much more that we do and still needs to be done. And so, yeah, I think there's definite value in. Visit our website. It's actually pghumanesociety.ca. We have videos on there. We tell our stories. You know, people can get to step into a day-to-day and what it's like being part of our organization as a volunteer, as a foster. And I'd encourage people to go watch some of those videos and
That's great.
and get an idea of what we do. And
okay, maybe that'll be our post today.
Yeah, encourage people to go. We just rebuilt it, so
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
we wanted to do video because we felt that not everybody wants to read. Me being dyslexic, I don't want to read. It's a lot for me, so it's nice to visit a website. Yeah. It's just to visit a website and, you know, get to see some contents. That's a bit more video than
That's nice.
than anything else.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go watch your videos and then come check it out.
Yeah, and then let me know. I'll take you on a tour. And
okay, Angela McLaren, like the car.
Yeah, the racing car, which you Canadians don't.
Exactly.
Probably Formula One, apparently.
No, apparently not. Not at all. Is there anything else before we wrap up that you'd like to?
No, I get, you know, it's a good opportunity for me to say thank you to everyone that helps us. You know, we couldn't do this without everyone. We couldn't do it without our fosters, our donors, our adopters, our volunteers, and so we want them to know that they're a valuable part of our organization, and we appreciate everything that they do for us. And getting out the word and joining our Facebook page will also be really helpful. PG Humane Society, and
that's great.
Keep watching what we're doing.
Well, Angela, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It was lovely spending time with you and getting to know you.
To be continued.
That would be great, eh?
Awesome.